birthday, everybody. Let's see here. Um, this is my Nutella recipe in that I am addicted to it, but I came across a version of it that was much more natural in Israel. Basically, it was, if you actually read what's in Nutella, it's um, a lot of oil. And what really got me is when Nutella switched over, I think, quite a few years ago to these plastic jars, the lid no longer seals, and I have to actually keep it in this plastic bag because the ants will like somehow come into my house and go under the lid in there and eat it. Like, so the first time I had, it just doesn't seal really well. But Nutella itself just has a lot of palm oil. And so if you actually look at it, it has, a lot of palm oil and cocoa powder. So it's no longer like that really. And so I got addicted, I guess, the real thing in Israel where it was just literally hazelnuts and chocolate. And so I started making it myself. And if you look in the chat, I'll put it back in. If you look in the chat, it is every recipe I've seen, it's just literally a cup of whole hazelnuts and then 4 ounces of semi-sweet and 4 ounces of milk chocolate. And then you can add a pinch of salt. My doctor says I'm not supposed to have salt, so I don't add salt. And then you can add a little bit of oil depending on how dry. You can put like a tablespoon of vegetable oil. But what I do instead of vegetable oil, I just put a little bit of cashews. Now, I have done it with other nuts, but hazelnuts themselves have that unique taste, right? And sometimes if it's not sweet enough, like I have used cocoa powder, but if you use cocoa powder, you have to add oil to it. If it's not sweet enough, I'll throw in some monk fruit sweetener and add a little bit of any sweetener you want. If you're doing a whole hazelnut, you want to toast them. But I started getting really lazy and just buying them pre-toasted. Except when they're pre-toasted, they tend to be drier. And then you do have to add a little oil. Or, again, I'll put more cashews. And I've had it where it was majority cashews and just a little hazelnut for taste. Comes out, what is readily available. But really all it is get a whole hazelnut, toast it, and then blend it, not blend it, food process it. Scared me. And add chocolate chips. So let's see. I've already scared myself once, so let's see how this comedy of errors goes. So again, basically it's a 1-to-1. Hazelnuts to chocolate. If you do you want the semi-sweet chocolate, so you don't have to add sugar, but I thought I was prepared. I don't see my measure stuff. So this is going to be measure from your heart recipe. But yeah, I mean, toasted hazelnuts, very unique taste. And you just turn it into a powder. Now I've tried it where you buy the powders themselves. It just seems like the more the nut is chopped up or processed, the more oil you have to add to it because it kind of dries out. And I wonder why. I wonder if that's how Nutella does it because they're using, powder or pretty dried nuts.
I have a question, or
Yep.
when you read the ingredients on the Nutella package, what ingredient is listed first?
Oh, on the, let's see here. Sugar, palm oil, hazelnut, skim milk, cocoa powder, and then lecithin, and then vanilla as an artificial flavor. So again, if you've ever seen the memes on the internet where it shows, what percentage, it'll show like oil, sugar, oil, and then like a thin line of hazelnuts and a thin line of cocoa powder. Because it's basically, sugar, palm oil, and then a flavor of cocoa powder. And all right, what I did wrong here. Pulsating here. But nothing. It's not little flavors actually. My first time doing these little teeny ones.
Anything else, or was it just nuts?
Say that again?
Is it just the nuts at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just trying to make it into a powder. What keeps happening is it's pushing it up. I'm going to switch to my big blender here. I thought this little guy would be easier to clean. There you go. I put just a very little bit in it. You can see it turns it into a powder. What was happening with the whole nut is it was pushing this little thing up and it wasn't catching on there. All right. Only does about a tablespoon at a time. Where's the bowl? But yeah, I'm definitely addicted to chocolate nut spray. So you guys are using other kinds of nuts. I feel very incompetent. The one good thing is you're making this for yourself. Snack on the nuts and chocolate the whole time you're doing it. That's not working good enough for me. Yeah. Wow, big fun. I'm getting serious now. It is ready to go already. I'm wondering if I should be really greedy, just put it all in all at once. No. Powder the nut.
You know, or sometimes it's been my experience that even in the Vitamixer, you need some sort of oil or something to make it get creamy. So
that's true. Right now we're just trying to powder it. So the process is turn this to powder and then slowly add the chocolate chips to it. Your goal is to not add oil, but you know, most of the chocolate chips have a lot of fat in it, but especially the milk chocolate chips. So the goal is to try not to add oil. But in this case, you know, if you had the whole ones, you wouldn't have to add any oil. These ones are already roasted and really dry.
yeah.
And you don't have any of that moisture, so you have to add. Here we go. Well, oh, come on. You guys saw it working. Now it's not working at all. Oh. Not my lucky day. No. It just stopped working.
Is there a reset button on the bottom? I think my Vitamixer has a reset button.
I'll see one. Oh. Well, I guess I'm done for today. Back to this little teeny thinking fun.
Did you blow out a fuse or something more?
Yeah, it popped the
Reset button?
PCI,
Mm-hmm.
and I reset that though. Now it's not going to.
Look on your Vitamix. Maybe I thought there was a reset button on that as well. Maybe not.
Yeah, there's.
And then remember, you want to put it on variable and low before you start it. You don't want to start it on high. That's
I
a bit
just
of
hit the pulse button, and that popped it.
okay.
Did pulse it halfway.
Oh,
Put that
highlight
way.
highlight Suzanne and let her take over.
I always joke about how the show shows all the mistakes, but I didn't mean for them to all happen at once.
That's okay. So I've just been using my
Little guys-
Cuisinart, but it doesn't break it apart that much.
What about you guys
Well,
whipping
maybe.
out your mortar and pestle and just elbow grease it?
Actually, it's not the equipment, it's the electricity.
It's not the equipment, it's what?
Electricity itself. It popped the breaker all the way back to there. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Wow.
So I put the chocolate in the ground up nuts, but the ground up nuts didn't get powdered. It's more chunky because I'm not using a high speed thing. I'm using just a Cuisinart. So I didn't know if I was supposed to put the chocolate in, so I did anyways, and now it's really big chunks of chocolate. Oops. I did what Or did. I went ahead in the process, not knowing what the next step was. Regardless,
All right.
it is amazing.
There we go. I reset it. There you go. It works really good with nothing in it. I popped my breaker. Popped the GFI there and the breaker. All right, here we go. Low.
It's magic.
Bam! Powder. All right, so now you're putting, if you weren't using this big ass thing, let me put about half of it. We're not overdoing.
And do you want to knock down the walls of the
If you look now, we've got the chocolate and the nuts. That's half the chocolate and the nuts powdered together. And then here's a little spatula. You said pull it away from the walls.
Oh yeah, it's starting to thicken up.
Yep, if you look at it, you see there's a little bit of, and there's one where the chocolate and the nuts mixed together already. All right, now I do one more thing of chocolate, and then I'm going to add the cashews as my fat. Instead of adding oil, about half the bag. There you go. Measuring with my heart. I added a little extra heart there. See, it's almost did all of them, but now we bring that stuff back to the center. And it is still pretty dry, but to look at it, it's starting to really clump. And I mean, if you want it to be really, you could add a little water, but the whole point is to have it shelf stable. Add water, I don't feel like it's Now you can see it's starting to get all goopy. You look, I mean, it's pretty stick together. Now, the primary reason, again, with that is I wish I could get just, I haven't found a place like get toasted nuts that aren't chopped up. So these are toasted, you know, chopped up. If I could get just the toasted ones, not chopped up. All right.
Is that raw cashews?
Yep, raw cashews. Yeah, now it's all funky. Before, when I was shaking it, it was dry, so it collapsed back in. But now, look, there's your. Now this is where you add a tablespoon. You look at the bottom, you see it's already. So let me get some of the bottom one. I'll give it a taste test. And if you make the basic batch, you're just putting 1 cup of nuts and 1 cup of chocolate. As usual, I make batch.
It tastes so good.
You see all the chocolate?
I don't even need to add any vegetable oil or sugar.
No, you should. Oh, you are, and you're just using cocoa powder, right?
No, I used the 2 ounces of chocolate chips that I have, and so I made just like a little more than 1/8 of a cup of roasted peanuts, because that's all I had. And it's yummy. I could actually use some more peanuts in it, though.
You look at, there it is. That's like. Oh, that's it.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I always feel like when I use the chocolate chips, it's slightly too sweet because the nuts just gives it like a sweetness.
Mm.
So sometimes I'll use like, you know, the baking chocolate. But you have to have the fat. So like the milk chocolate has the fat. So if you don't use milk chocolate, then you have to put it. And it just comes down to how dry are the nuts. When you actually roast your own, lightly roast them, you're just adding a flavor. The more roasted it is, the more oil you have to add later. So.
You know, an oil that you could add that would enhance a flavor is cocoa oil. You know how you have cocoa butter? Or coconut oil would work too, I would imagine.
You would want to make sure it's liquid, I think. Like my coconut oil almost always is, because coconut oil turns to liquid at 78 to 80 degrees. And so your typical house that has air conditioning, that's where people keep it. And so then your coconut oil is solid.
But doesn't the friction from your Vitamixer sort of melt the chocolate and would also melt the coconut oil?
Because I mean, like, here's coconut oil I got in the Cayman Islands. And so I either put this outside and it liquefies, or put it in some, thing of hot water and liquefies. Oh, I'm so excited. Got another one. Like cold, and no rum bottle from Cayman Islands. And pulled it off, but camera brag about this chocolate again. And the more you blend it, the smoother it gets. I personally like it slightly chunky, which always happens when I use the whole hazelnuts. It definitely turns creamier and less chunky. And so,
Well, and here's mine, or oops, that's me.
to add you as a spotlight. Oh yeah, yours came a lot creamier than mine when you use the whole nut.
Yep, that's with the whole peanuts that I roasted on the stovetop, and then added some type of chocolate chips. I don't know what they were, probably semi-sweet.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean it's that blend of fat and sugar that you never know what's in the actual chocolate chip. But you might have to. And I grew up without eating much sugar, so chocolate chips to me are too sweet. And so a lot of times I'll use baking chocolate and then add my sweet to the level I like.
And mine, you can tell mine's a little still crunchy, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, good deal.
Yeah.
See, now you don't have to go to the store and buy your chocolate spread. You have a little bit of nuts, you have a little bit of chocolate of any kind, and you add a little salt, a little oil, a little sugar, with the flavor of your choice. And then, the more you pulsate it, the more oil you add to it, the creamier it is. The reason why Nutella is so creamy, it's like 60-70% oil. Just like, will do. Lulu, are you trying your weird one and want to talk about it? No, just kidding.
I did not.
Okay. It's just like, but yeah, any type of nut, any type of chocolate, but then you have to play with it more. If you just do whole hazelnuts, lightly toast them, and then 4 ounces of semi-sweet and 4 ounces of milk chocolate, it just comes out just like, not like Nutella, because again, you need a lot more oil to make it as creamy as Nutella. But definitely, like, I get it. What I call the real chocolate hazelnut spread from that I got addicted to. All right. That is everything. Thank you for sharing my addiction.
Wait a minute,
I have holding off on this one.
I have one question, because you always ask this when you're interviewing your chefs. Is there anything you would not put in it?
Pistachios pops in my mind. That I've seen a recipe that was pistachio chocolate honey. but that was more keep the pistachios kind of chunky. But I think this, and then, I don't know, a nut, maybe like a black walnut. I haven't made it with that, but the point here is the nut itself is a lightly flavored part of it, and the chocolate is the predominant. You put like a pistachio or a black walnut, you flip that flavor profile. I'm not saying it's bad, but if you're trying to, emulate Nutella, it's chocolate primarily and just a little bit of toasted hazelnut as the flavor enhancer. All right.
Cool.